Most chunk accounts are locked into one chunk of the game until they can complete all possible content. Unless you're me. When Posty Pete shows up, I must fail the Evil Twin random event and get teleported away to a random chunk. Last time on Chunk Evil, we were in the west chunk of Yanil where I died, again, which meant waiting for a 1 in 24 random event that rolls a chance every 1 to 2 hours. But Pete took pity on us and came back to telling me out after just 7 hours of waiting, and that's where we left off. Real shame we don't have the camo pants, those would have blended right in here. Anyways, welcome to the new chunk. I haven't looked at the chunk picker yet, but I can tell you we're getting out of here in no time. Let's take a look around since I don't think we'll be back here very much after. Oh, thanks Source. I guess he's keeping up with my movements. Okay, on the business side where we'll be rolling out in a second, we can't go south, that's all water. To the west is the east side of Yanil, where a sweet bank is. And up here, it looks like we can actually roll into Port Khazard, where the fishing trawler is, which is scary because it has a 91 fishing task. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Huh, it's a cool little gnome statue. I always love these bridges. I don't know what it is about them, they just feel really cool to me. Hazelmere has some sweet real estate. Here's one of our chunk tasks, kill a level 2 spider. Chunk task complete. And our only other task for this entire chunk is to kill one of the jungle spiders, which aren't poisonous, but are pretty close to my combat level. Can't say I had this thought before now, but I would hate to fight a giant spider while wearing short shorts. And another chunk task complete, which wraps up all the tasks in this chunk. The spiders always drop a spider carcass, which you can cook with a skewer made from the thatched spars on Karamja, so useless to us for now. Hazelmere won't talk to me until I do some quests for the gnomes, and there's nothing else here besides a coal rock near Port Khazard I missed a second ago, which we can't mine without a pick and 30 mining. Can't believe I'm saying this, but let's roll chunk. A few updates about my chunk maps. I've realized that with the blacklisting feature on the chunk picker, I can mark out the chunks I've visited in the past, and in the future, the chunks I have unlocked. I can use symbols to mark out sectors of chunks that get created, so like the West Yanil chunk, if we had rolled out of there, I would continue marking the chunks of that sector with the same symbol so that when they butt up against another chunk, we can tell them apart on the map. If you're confused about what a sector is, go check out my rules video where I explain the intricacies of my unusual rules and how chunk rolling works with this account. So that being said, map code Evil is all you need to keep up with the series progress. As for map code Live, I'm changing it to be my spoiler map, and it's a hell of a spoiler. I'm way ahead of what you see on YouTube, but if you ever want to come visit me in game and chat, or see what I'm up to, or maybe even see Pete whisk me away, that's where you can find me. My active area will be the only highlighted one, and if there isn't a highlighted one, you can find me at the Lumber's General Store. Here we are at Hazelmere's little island. Since we can't roll south and this is an island, it's looking like we have a 50-50 chunk roll between East Yanil and Port Khazard. Both chunks have banks, so either way we'll have one, but the Port Khazard chunk carries a host of horrible grinds. The most notable being a 91 fishing grind to catch a manta ray, and the subsequent 91 cooking grind to cook them. You need level 15 fishing to start the minigame, and I've never touched a fish, but we have the requisite level already from the Evil Bob random event that gives fishing XP as a reward. East Yanil would be slightly better, but still pretty bad because of the level 82 thieving requirement to get into the agility dungeon, with the only way to train it being pickpocketing men at the lowest XP rate in the game for normal thieving methods. There's a few lesser tasks, 52 cooking being the next largest, but those are the big ones. Well, I haven't played all that much on this account, but I have spent hundreds of hours to get to this role. Here we go. Alright, nice. We didn't get the death chunk. I said last episode we don't really have any death chunks that would take thousands of hours to complete, but Port Khazard is about as close as you can get to one on my account. At least we're free of it for now. Let's go check out our new chunk. Unlocking a new chunk always feels so good. This one was kind of a freebie, but I think that was bound to happen before completing a harder chunk. Ah, there we go. It looks so beautiful. First pickpocket. First punch to the face. First isn't brand beer. First citizen murder. First shop. Not the first imp kill. First locally sourced wheat. First time ever being here on any account. Chunk task, by the way. Sorry, I always go through a frenzy of activity when I get to a new chunk. Let's finally get a look at our bank and go over the chunk tasks we haven't already knocked out. Ooh, that's not much. I didn't get much chance to bank, so that's not surprising, but we do have a decent amount of potions, which is quite nice. I think I'm going to have to switch these big boy shorts out for the camo pants, though. After a quick peek at the chunk tasks, it's looking like the grinds here are a bit easier than I thought. The door to the agility dungeon I was talking about can only be opened with a lockpick, which we do not have access to. So that task is backlocked until this area unlocks a lockpick, or we get one banked in another chunk and get teleported back here. There is a lockpick located inside the agility dungeon itself, but without one to open the door, or a way to train agility to get to it from the other entrance, we can't get it. Most of the other tasks are simple enough. We need to pickpocket a man, which we already did. We would have to obtain a blue wizard hat and a bronze med helm from men if we didn't already have a hat and a better med helm, but we do need an iron dagger drop from them. We need to browse the hunter store, which we'll get to in a second. We always need to kill one of each creature in a chunk, and although there are things like skeletons, wizards, and even the agility dungeon boss Salarin the Twisted, the only ones we can get to are giant bats and men, which we already killed, and cows, which we have not yet killed. And the last strictly required task is 58 cooking, which is generated by the buyable supplies in Fernita's cookery. Since she stocks flour, we have to cook the highest level product of pita bread, which is a partial cooking product that you can't even eat by itself, but it does generate XP, so it is a required task, unlike partial pies. That's all we need to do to roll out of here, but I'm going to opt into doing a few optional grinds to get started on some chunk tasks that will be in nearly every single chunk we get sent to. In the chunk to the south are dwarves that occasionally get close enough to our border to drag in with range for magic attacks, and very, very rarely wander right into our chunk. Oh, dang. Be right back, I gotta lose aggro. If you've watched Josh's series, you probably remember his massive dwarf grind to get smithing supplies. That's not exactly what we'll be doing. See, on the drop table of these dwarves is a bronze bar. With the anvil in our chunk and the hammer drop from imps, we can use this bronze bar to make a bronze axe, and get some progress on woodcutting, fire making, and fletching, since there is a knife spawn in our chunk, and imps also drop tinder boxes. Since I failed to get an axe in the last chunk, and there are basic trees in every single chunk we can get sent to, I will inevitably get assigned a woodcutting, fletching, and a fire making grind. I would rather do this in a chunk with a bank to make it functionally easier, so I'll be grinding out mind rune drops from men to be used with air runes we have banked to drag dwarves into the chunk to get at least one bronze bar drop to make the axe. Once we have that, since there are oak trees in this chunk and we have the tools for fletching and fire making, we'll have to get level 20 woodcutting to cut an oak tree, level 15 fire making to burn oak logs, and 27 fletching to make an oak shield, which will also be a new best in slot for us. We've been given a great gift of only having a 7-hour wait for Posty Pete to get here after the last death. The task seems simple enough, even if the cooking task is going to take a long while with the scarcity of GP in this chunk and the slow cooking methods. If the first chunk taught me anything, it's that we need to get as much done as fast as we can, since this account is always on a time limit. Pete could show up every 5 minutes. So let's start knocking these tasks off the list before we get stuck into this cooking. Hold on a sec, I guess Source wants a word. Just got off the chat with Source. He's come up with this great idea for an evil chunk task system. A terrible, horrible, no good task that is the absolute most awful task you can imagine for whatever chunk we land in. He was nice enough to suggest my first one. Do something nice for the native chunker, Josh. I'll have to keep that in mind or risk my account to Source's godlike powers. There's no backlogging that one. By far the easiest task on our list, browsing the hunter store, not this one, everyone does that, shut up, is complete. While we're here, I'm going to stock up on as much of the hunter supplies as I can reasonably afford. I don't know how long it'll be before we see another hunter store, or a hunter creature for that matter, so best buy them now if we can, even though I'm pretty strapped for cash. I think it's worth the sacrifice. I organized my bank a bit. I'm not a huge bank organization guy, sorry, but this is what made sense to my brain. We have the cows up here, another chunk task complete. I'm going to kill some of these to cook up as meat pies until we can start cooking stews at level 25. Just 2 more levels. We can churn their milk into pots of cream right now, but it's extremely slow, and cream isn't used for anything but gnome food and drinks. You can also use it to churn butter and cheese, which you can already do from milk, which awards the same XP and takes a tick less of time, so no sense in that. Level 40 defense. Some people were asking why I was training defense when it doesn't help my DPS, but there are a lot of rune armor related chunk tasks and places we can get teleported. I wanted to get this done early so I could equip any rune drops we get as early as possible, but from here on out we'll mostly focus on attack and strength to maximize damage per second and combat XP rates. Here is level 24 cooking, no new notable unlocks here. And level 25. We can now cook stews, which will be a nice XP boost using the things in the store and in the chunk to get to level 30, where we can cook apple pies, the next product we can cook with ingredients from Fernita. I've been killing some men just trying to get those mind rune drops, but I finally got level 37 prayer for our first overhead prayer unlock. We can now protect from magic and block all magic damage from NPCs. Very nice, but in a handful more levels we'll unlock the much more applicable protect from melee. Got the Iron Dagger drop from Men. We need this because it actually boosts magic attack by +1. Chunk task complete. I killed Men until I had at least a few of their mind rune drops. Besides those, I also wanted to bank a few herbs and fishing bait, something that could be useful in a future chunk. Level 39 attack, time to go lure some dwarves. We have 18 mind runes to work with for a 1 in 19 bronze bar drop. But the dwarves are pretty hard to hit while staying in the chunk, so if we do step out, we'll need to run away since I won't pick up drops from illegal attacks that pull us out. Just bones. Hope we don't go dry on this. Nope, that definitely didn't work. Gotta reset. Not bad. A hammer. Tin ore. Another hammer. Coins. A pickaxe. Alright, that's actually kind of useful. We can't mine the singular coal rock in this chunk, but that will be good to have banked for future chunks. Level 2 magic, and a clean wind strike. Nice. I didn't get anything else notable on that trip, so I went back to killing men for their 9 mind rune drops. I stopped every few drops since I didn't want to get more than what I might need, since I only need 1 bronze bar drop to achieve my goal. Level 40 attack, we can now wield rune weapons. We'll be focusing on strength now where possible to increase our max hit with weapons. Attack training only when it does more DPS. Also, I got this beginner clue drop for the hairdresser and Faldor. The Faldor chunk that has the hairdresser actually has 3 different Molly teleport locations within it, more than any other chunk. So while most evil chunks have a 3% or so chance to get teleport to them, there are a few with 2 teleport locations for 6%, and Faldor alone with 3 locations for 9%. That all meaning to say I think I'm going to bank this clue on the higher than normal chance we end up in Faldor. Hopefully that doesn't come back to bite me. Got a 1 in 42 iron bar drop on another round of dwarf kills, and while I could use that to make an axe, can't do that till level 16 smithing. Level 4 magic, still no bronze bar drop. Of course we'd go dry on this of all things. I honestly don't know how Josh put up with this for so long. I did a short stint of pickpocketing just to get those early levels done. Men show up in a lot of chunks, but with just a handful of levels we really increase our possible training methods in a handful of evil chunks, or close to them. I took a good break from the dwarf killing to do a bit of cooking. I went all the way from level 26 to level 31 in this round of training. Fernita's Cookery is actually an amazing store to have access to at a low cooking level. It's one of only 5 cooking stores in the entire game, and one of 2 in our possible evil chunks. The other being the pie shop in the Cooking Guild, which only sells cooked pies, not actual ingredients. If we didn't already have 25 cooking, we would be able to cook raw beef from the cows at level 1 and raw potatoes from the store at level 7. At level 20 we can cook meat pies at a pretty good pace and with little world hopping with the 8 stock of pots of flour in our shop. At level 25 we get another small XP rate boost with stews, and I'll get a little bonus XP since I have to cook extra beef I don't have stockpiled to make them. At level 30 we unlock apple pies, but if we cook exclusively those, we'll have to do a ton of hopping since she only stocks 2 apples. I'll most likely end up hopping to buy a variety of things and cooking in batches from the lowest to highest XP to minimize the burn rate. After level 30, the XP rates won't be changing much. The next product we can make in this chunk is cakes at level 40, but they aren't sustainable at all. Even though we have cake tins, flour, and milk all readily accessible, the only source of eggs in this chunk is a 1 in 25 drop from imps. I'll cook a few, but I probably won't be able to get more than a handful. After that, at level 50, we can simply apply chocolate bars bought in Fernita's shop to any of the cakes we've made to make chocolate cakes, but again, this will be restricted by our previous egg supply. And finally, at level 58, we can get to the infamous pita bread, which as I mentioned before is not edible without adding other ingredients, so isn't useful to us at all outside of being a chunk task. There is level 31. I made a decent supply of just apple pies despite needing to excessively hop to make them. I want to have a decent bunch of them ASAP since they are our best food at the moment, and we could get whisked off to a new chunk with no food sources at any moment, so it's best to stockpile new useful unlocks as soon as possible. How many men will die for a single axe? Sister open a range shop, fellas. Work with me here. Level 38 prayer. Level 42 attack. Back to the dwarves. I'd say I get about 2/3 of the magic strikes without getting dragged out of the chunk. 44 HP. Level 6 magic. Still no bronze axe and another 15 or so kills. We are well over the drop rate at this point. I'm back to the cooking since I know the pita bread grind pops up in a lot of chunks and it's a lot easier to grind out here. I mostly did meat pies from level 34 to level 38 since they were a lot quicker to get ingredients for rather than apple, and I didn't burn them as often. And there's level 38 cooking. We can now churn milk into butter. We don't milk content over here at Evil Industries, but when a double entendre this buttery smooth floats to the top of the cream, well, we just gotta turn it up and do a cheesy joke. There's level 39 cooking. I forgot about this earlier, but we can actually butter our potatoes at this level, and a handful of levels down the line we'll be able to put cheese on our buttered potatoes to make the best possible food right now that heals 16 HP each. I've gone entirely to 41 cooking, just baking potatoes, churning butter, and applying butter to said potatoes. It was very slow. Grabbing some milk, and I noticed this imp just chilling here on the air. I guess they can teleport into these stair areas you wouldn't normally be able to get to. Just a few minutes later, I saw this, an imp someone had hit that got tellied behind the bank counter. 42 cooking, I had to take a break from churning butter, it's just so brutally slow. The level 42 notification that shows you can now cook chocolate bombs reminded me that we have unlocked the ability to make cakes at level 40. I've been killing imps here and there on the way to milk cows ever since, and only just recently got an egg drop. Moment of truth. Do we burn the cake? Nope. Nice. First cake on the account. So I need to explain some things. Right now you're seeing me leave the chunk to go kill ogres in the next chunk over. If you watched my rules video, I mentioned how there were 3 distinct points where I went out of chunks I was in because of an early bad decision about how to run my account. This is the first one. When I started this account, my plan was to treat any chunk I got teleported to by Pete as permanently unlocked, and always able to be moved between after I had been there once and if it was directly connected to where I was. As I started to play the account more, I realized this was just a bad way to do things, so after I've been playing a while, I switched my rules to be more true to the chunk rule set and made the idea of a sector. When I'm teleported into a new area, a new sector is started. So the Monastery is Sector 1, West Yanil is Sector 2, and East Yanil and Hazelmere's Island are Sector 3. I'm locked into my current sector until they roll together to join up, but all tasks within my current sector must be completed to roll. So during this episode, I got a few combat levels and prayer levels from the ogres in the next chunk over, but later in the series I ended up dropping everything on my bank I got from them, which was just various low-level seeds. I did find something really interesting over there though, but now I can't legally show you what it is with my chunk restrictions. However, I think I know someone who can since it's fully within his jurisdiction. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the final fun fact to be discovered in his home chunk. Take it away, Josh.
Warning, may not be the final fun fact in the Yanil area. All fun and facts are intellectual property of the Josh Isn't Corporation, an isn't for profit organisation. Don't say shit about the trawler, okay?
If you've ever needed an extra herblore level, you may have visited the Dragon Inn here in Yanil to sample one of their Greenman's Ale, which gives you a +1 herblore boost. But if you haven't completed Druidic Ritual, the quest that unlocks herblore, when you drink the Greenman's Ale, you receive this message. And did you know that for a short time, it was actually possible to have a permanent level 2 herblore? The herblore skill and Druidic Ritual, the quest, were released on the same day in 2002. When you complete the quest, you're awarded with enough XP to reach level 3 herblore, which unlocks the ability to make attack potions and train the skill. No XP lamps or stat boosting foods like the Greenman's Ale would actually boost the herblore skill until the quest had been completed. But on May 26th, 2016, Jagex released the Botanical Pie into the game, which boosts the player's herblore level by 4 levels. In what was probably an oversight, players could use a Botanical Pie to boost past level 3 and make just 4 attack potions to achieve level 2 herblore. It was patched only a few days later by Jagex making attack potions and pretty much all potions impossible to craft without having completed Druidic Ritual. Still, there are a few accounts that pop up on Reddit from time to time with level 2 herblore. Yeesh, the lengths some people will go to achieve ridiculous things in this game, am I right? Am I right? What?
Alright, thanks so much, Josh. And I think that nicely completes Source Chunk's evil task for me, as well as covering up my illegal attack level. Back to your regularly scheduled chunk. Level 43 cooking. Level 48 strength. Level 39 prayer killing men. Yes, finally, there's the bronze bar drop. We are at just over 120 kills, which is about 5x the drop rate, but it's finally here. I'm going to use up the rest of these runes to see if we can get any more, but we actually have 3 skills unlocked with this one drop. Wood cutting from the axe we're going to make, fire making from the imp tinderbox drop, and fletching from a knife spawn in the entrance to the Yanil agility dungeon. Literal next kill and we get another bronze bar drop. Alright, here's the anvil we have access to. Shame we won't get more use out of it since it's one of the closest anvils to a bank in the game. But you never know, we may be back here with thousands of smelted bars at one point. Anyways, here's the axe. Now let's go chop a tree immediately. Nice. First of many. Let's go get a ton of levels in like an hour. Man, early woodcutting levels go so quick. I realized I hadn't even picked up the knife spawn in our chunk yet though, so that would have been tragic to get teleported out before grabbing it. Not that there aren't other knife spawns or stores that sell them in the world, just I would have felt dumb. Knife acquired, let's go do some fletching, and then fire making. Fletching unlocks new equipment upgrade for us, while fire making is pretty much useless for the entire game. Prove me wrong. Yeah, that's what I thought. Now that we have a knife, any chunk with trees and a bank will have a chance to make a chunk task for us depending on our fletching level. Fletching is straightforward and boring as hell, so here's the quick and dirty. We're doing arrow shafts, then short bows, then long bows, and then shields. You can fletch crossbow stocks too, but they're worse XP, so no one does that. Every type of higher log can be fletched into the same types of things. Shields take up 2 logs, but take a tick longer to fletch than 2 bows, so you always just fletch the highest level of bow you can for the best XP per hour. First bird's nest at nearly level 30 woodcutting. I feel like that's super low drop rate for nests. I know we've cut a few hundred at least by now. Either way, that's cool, first ring on the account. Level 15 fletching. I must have missed the level for bronze arrows, but whenever we get a consistent smithing method, most of our smithing XP will likely go into arrowheads, so that we can double dip on those bars and train fletching with them as well. Hey, we have our first seed nest. Nice. Level 30 wood cutting, which means we can now cut willows. This is another big level for us because, as you might suspect, there's a few willow trees in our evil chunks. So that's some future task and a future chunk already knocked out. Man, just a few minutes later and we have a second seed nest in the same inventory. Holy crap, that's a third seed nest in the same inventory. Guess the RNG is making up for no nest before now. Dude, what is happening right now? 4 seed nests in 1 inventory of logs? That's not just 4 1 in 128 rolls and less than 25 chops. That's 4 1 in 128 rolls at a 50-50 chance for a seed nest over a ring nest in less than 25 chops. Random level 15 farming to be able to grow oak trees. All this is still just from raking weeds. Nothing here drops the hop seeds we need. Fletching level 19, and total level 375. Level 20. We can now fletch oak logs into short bows, which is great since I probably already have more arrow shafts than I'll need for a while. Level 35 wood cutting. We can now cut teak trees. And level 25 fletching. Oak longs unlocked, and last thing we will make till the shield. And that's level 27 fletching, the level needed to make an oak shield, which is not only an equipment upgrade for us, but also the chunk task that was generated when we made the axe. Just fire making left, and the only task left will be the cooking grind for us. Just need a tinderbox and a dream. And logs, of course. I did the entire chunk task right in a row, which ends the short optional axe-based tasks of the chunk. I'm gonna try and keep this and a few other items on me while I'm outside of the bank. That way if Pete comes to teleport me out, we have some useful tools on us. Wow, this is rare to find. A tier 9 shooting star. I'm gonna pop onto Star Miners clan chat and let them know it's here. We don't count shooting stars as tasks since they aren't chunk specific, but we can't even access these yet because we don't have level 10 mining, the lowest level required for the lowest tier of star. There's 45 cooking. We can now cook pizzas, which we have everything for except the tomatoes. It's back to thieving for more cooking cash. There's no other good way to make money in this chunk, not that this is a good method. I can at least restore my HP for free with these semi-famous beer barrels that allow you to take free beer from them. It's a bit tedious, but if you get a good rhythm, you can fill beers as fast as you drink them, a skill I picked up in college. It's a few levels later. I've got the tempo down now. Look at this flawless alcoholism. It's not that much, but nothing in Fernitas costs all that much, so this should be a good bit of cooking supplies. Back to making more butter and potatoes. In just one more level, we'll be able to make cheesy potatoes, which will be a great way to triple dip on the XP from these potatoes since we banked a few hundred just to get to this level. I switched to cooking meat pies to save on some GP, but there's 47 cooking. We can now apply cheese to our potatoes, but we still need one more level to actually make the cheese. And 48 cooking. Let's go make the slowest food in the game and prep for making our first actually decent food. Can't remember when I did this, but I broke out the wallet to buy enough buckets so that we could do a full inventory of milk every time we go milk cows, which was seriously slowing me down while I was making butter. I actually posted this list of things that takes longer than churning an inventory of cheese a while back while I had to churn cheese for a different thing, and I think it really puts into perspective how ridiculously long this takes to do. Level 16 farming. We can now grow cheese. I only made enough for a single inventory of cheesy potatoes, but this is going to be such good XP once we get 360 more cheese made. Alright, so applying cheese is just a bit more XP than cooking meat, but after cooking, buttering, and cheesing the potatoes, each one of these is equal to 95 cooking XP and makes really good healing food. Crap! Man, there's someone killing men on this world, so I was hopping to go pickpocket for cash, and I missed Posty Pete. 49 cooking just from churning cheese. I don't think we'll make it to 50 before we get done with the 360 we're making for those buttered potatoes. And 50 cooking. Let's go turn all 5 of our cakes into chocolate cakes. As simple as that. Just slap a chocolate bar onto it and it melts right over it. Got a book of knowledge for some agility XP. We might be able to put that to some good use if we roll west. Not really the point of this clip though. As you can see, I finally switched the UI to the classic layout so you can properly see my chat, inventory, and all that jazz. The cooking grind, well, let's be real here, the cheese grind is really getting to me. If I can get just 50 more bronze bars, I can start smithing bronze knives, which I can actually use all by themselves to get some range XP. Quite a tall order, since I have to kill men for mind rune drops to lure dwarves into my chunk, but I resort to doing that when I don't want to do more cooking. First maze random in a while. I'm going to go ahead and finish this as normal and see what we get. Hopefully some cash. Just feathers. Oh wait, no, 202 chaos runes. Holy crap, that's awesome. We'd still need a ton of mind runes to get to level 17, I think, magic, where we could use them, but if we do, we'll have a good chunk of dwarf luring ammo. Thank you, Niles. That's awesome. It's like 300 potatoes. But there's level 40 prayer. We now have protect from missiles. Level 49 strength. Level 9 magic. And level 48 attack. And chaos runes. What? I didn't know they dropped these. You know, these earth runes would be really nice if I had any source of body runes. If we did, I'd be able to use the curse spells to lure those dwarves. Level 50 strength. Quite a big level. I realized I probably had lots of grats in clan chat, but I kept forgetting to check it. Level 11 magic, we actually got quite a few bronze bars, and I think it's just enough to bring us up to level 2 smithing. Big numbers. Make some backup axes. Oop. Well, I clicked off the notification, but we just unlocked bronze maces, which is actually now my best in slot prayer boost, so we have to make one of those as well. Well, I was about to log off for the night, but stayed up to hang out in clan chat. I was waiting for the weeds to regrow here in a few minutes, but Pete had other ideas. I hadn't talked a lot about my account in clan chat before now, but with going off to a new chunk via Pete, there was a lot of interest. It worked out pretty well though. I had my kit of things I wanted to take with me whenever I got Peated, my axe, my tinderbox and knife for any tree-based shenanigans, and a pickaxe so we can hopefully get some mining levels. Junk chat seems pretty tickled with my weird account. I gotta stop typing and fail this event though, see where we end up. Shut up, Molly. This Pete felt more monumental than any of the other ones. It's the first time that I'm getting pulled out of a chunk rather than escaping a previous death wait. Not just that, but I actually had a lot of what I wanted to take with me to a new random chunk, something I've been struggling with the inventory requirements of the cooking grind, so I feel as prepared for the challenge ahead as possible. Have you figured out where we are yet? No cliffhangers on this one. Next episode, we're in Varrock Castle. See you next time.